Hello everybody. Welcome back to another session on logic development. We are discussing the assignments that were given yesterday. So Kaustubh and Bhagesh have solved the assignments. Sanjay had does the dry run, and others are probably too smart. They felt there is no need to solve that assignment. बहुत ही simple शायद assignment है for you even to make an attempt to solve. So 3 people out of 10 have made a serious attempt to solve or understand the problem. So I appreciate these 3 people. And I pray good luck, or I pray to the God to help you out, the others. Okay, so let's have a look at Bhagesh's solution. The question was, Bhagesh, read the question out once again.
Accept an integer and display its digit.
Correct.
Continue the process till such a number whose sum of the cube of the digit is equal to the number is not found.
Correct. So Bhagesh, if I take a number like 123, you are displaying the digits after I perform the operation. That means you're going to display only one digit.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So this is a very common mistake. Statement that should belong to the body of the loop, you write it outside the loop. It's a common mistake. So you have to be very, very careful of placing the only mistake is about the placement, where to write that statement. That is only silly mistake. But look, even after so much of careful consideration, we commit mistakes. That means those who are trying, they are also committing mistake. Kaustubh ki ek silly mistake or aapki ek silly mistake. Kaustubh, did you figure out what is the mistake? At least after looking at Bhagesh's code.
10 not equal to 0 डालना था.
Another silly mistake. Have a look at Bhagesh's solution. अभी तो याद आ रहा है. नहीं समझ आ रहा है? Okay, I'll tell you. The only mistake that you have done, now here you are finding some of the cube of the digits, correct? So
yes.
First number did not satisfy the condition. So when you go ahead with the next number, do you want the last number, sum of the cube of the digit to be added further? Have you reset the value of the sum of the cube of the digits?
Sir, cube of digit.
हाँ, बोलो. बोलो. इसीलिए ड्राई रन जरूरी होता है. You gave us so much nice thought. अरे ड्राई रन नहीं किया आपने, और ड्राई रन
टेस्ट किया तो सर
टेस्ट किया तो वो संजय के जैसे ड्राई रन कर लिया. नहीं, संजय ने कौन था कल, विराज के जैसे ड्राई रन कर लिया कि मुझे जो चाहिए आंसर वो लाऊंगा. Not bothered about what the code is doing. Look at this. You are saying q is equal to something that you have done, correct? So once you come out of the loop, you accept the second number. So in that case, what will happen? Q of the is equal to, अच्छा, it's just q, sum नहीं है क्या?
नहीं sir, sum of digit last बाद में.
Okay. I thought it is some. So you're just adding over here, correct?
Yes sir.
And some of the digits you have initialized. Okay.
Sir, मैंने logarithm में टेस्ट किया है.
Okay. No. I misread it. I thought this is what you are adding. तो आपने last digit find कर लिया है, and digits कहाँ print किया आपने?
If में sir, if temp equals to 0 display.
अच्छा, later you are displaying the correct order. Okay, so your code is right. I thought you are adding, ये आपका sum है. Okay, so you just took it for multiplication. The statement is long, correct?
Yes sir, yes.
Okay, so that was a good work. So the code that I have shared with you all, what he has done is also right. And what Bhagesh has done, she has not bothered to improve the appearance. She has just focused on the problem statement. This is also correct. The only mistake that she has committed is she has written this outside, whereas she should have calculated over here. No, there's another big mistake with Bhagesh's code. Can you identify? Bhageshri, when will you come out of this loop?
Number equal to 0 हो जाएगा.
So will this condition ever be satisfied? You will come out of this condition. Moment you come out of the condition, at that time, what will the value of number be?
0 होगा.
0 रहेगा Bhageshri. So 0 not equal to sum of the digit हमेशा true है, correct?
Okay.
And it will get into infinite loop.
Temporary
variable लेना चाहिए. Very correct. So what he has done is right. But what was unnecessary is this part. He could have displayed the result and just continued. But this will make it appear better, because if I enter 123, Kaustubh has ensured that I display 1, 2, and 3 instead of displaying 3, 2, 1. That is something that Kaustubh has ensured. So good work, Kaustubh. Good work. Good work. Okay, so now let's move on to the next topic. Now that we have taken enough of examples of the loops, and most of you are not even solving them. So I wonder what you're going to do later. And some of you are like visitors, visit sometimes for the lectures. And I challenge the kind of assignments that you have solved, those who are visitors who visit once in a blue moon. I doubt how will you cope up with the challenge of writing programs. Okay, and it's a challenge. It's not a cakewalk. It's definitely a challenge. Okay. Let's move to the next topic. And the next topic is about arrays. Now that we have taken up these loops, we'll take some examples which will be using loops over there as well. But one of the common data structure that every developer has to be aware of is a concept of array. Now, what exactly is an array and how do you use it and what problems will it address to? Let's have a look at an example. I'll help you understand the significance of it by taking some examples. But before that, let us at least understand what is this array concept all about. So let's begin with a new topic, that is arrays. Here we go. So problem solving with arrays is what we plan to begin. Now, for the first time, you're coming across a term called as data structure. Now, data structure is something which is very important. And if you really want to excel in the field of computing, you have to be very good in the concept of data structures. Arrays and variables are the most basic data structures that we come across. Your journey in data structures begins over here. So what exactly is a data structure? It is nothing but arrangement of information in the memory in different ways. And it has some purpose. First is efficient storage management. And second is faster retrieval of data. So we'd like to store the data in the memory in such a way that there is no wastage of memory. And second, we'd like to store the data in the memory in such a way so that I can retrieve information out of data in smallest possible way. So we are now moving on to the first and the most simplest amongst all the data structures, that is arrays. So data is stored in computers in logical way in order to find values as quickly as possible. Now, this is one area where most of the research happens in the field of computing. Newer and newer ideas are proposed for storing data in the memory. With the purpose, two basic objectives, please note. First is efficient storage management. That means there is no wastage of memory. And second is faster retrieval of data. These are two major objectives of any data structures. Efficient storage management, that means no memory leaks. So when we say efficient storage management, there are two aspects again. You should neither fall short of memory, neither you should waste memory. Dono bhi. You should neither fall short of memory, neither you should waste memory. Dono bhi satisfy hone chahiye. And second aspect on which the data structure focuses on faster retrieval of data. Can we access the data within shortest possible time? The way the data is stored is called the structure of the data, and hence the term data structure. Using variable data structure, a single value stored in a single name location. So when we said integer tax, some location in the memory was given a name tax in which we store the value. So to refer to that value, it becomes easier. We can just refer to it by the name called as tax. So variables are the most common data structure that we come across. But they're very, very primitive. It can hold only a single value, not more than one values. So variables are the simplest of all the data structures that we come across. And another type of data structure that we plan to discuss today is the concept of arrays. So what exactly is an array? It is often advantageous for the user to store several values for the same variable in its internal memory of the computer because it decreases processing time. What do you say? Several values for the same variable? What does it mean? Several values for the same variable. Let's take an example to understand several values for the same variable. Or let me also highlight that particular statement when I say several values for the same variable. Okay, I'll help you understand the significance of this concept so that you can use this concept not just to store the data, but also to make your code much more efficient. So let's jump ahead with this particular statement once again. So we are saying it is often advantage to store for the user to store several values for the same variable in internal memory. Now, when we say internal memory, we are talking about primary memory, that is RAM of the computer, because it decreases processing time. Now, let's take an example of several value for the same variable. Say, I would like to store your marks. So if I'm storing marks, I need a single variable, isn't it? If I want to store marks, I need a single variable, mark. But mark will store, say, Rohit ke marks mein store kar raha. So Rohit ka mark is say like 79 out of 100. Oh, that could be marks for a single subject. But Rohit has appeared for 7 papers this semester. So he's appeared for 7 papers. That means he has 7 marks. So 1 mark means 7 marks. So I'm going to have 7 value for a single variable called as mark. All these values are of same type. They are related to each other as well. They are not unrelated. They are related values. They are all marks. Earlier it was like marks in maybe one subject like physics. Now he has marks in physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology, history, geography, and whatever it is. All of them are marks. So when we have several values and all of them are of same type, so in that case, instead of creating several different variables, saying marks of physics, marks of chemistry, marks of biology, marks of this and marks of that, I could just create a single variable called as marks. But then one variable stores only one value. So in that case, I can create a group of variables. Entire group of variables could be given a single name. So if there is, he is appearing for 7 subjects, so I can have a group of 7 variables, and to this entire group of 7 variables, we'll give a single name. And plus, we have an option of accessing each of that variable within that particular group separately. We can differentiate, we can identify. Multiple storage means there has to be more than one memory locations in the computer for each variable name. When more than one memory location is designated for a single variable, it is called as an array. That means when we allocate more than 1 bytes of memory for a single variable, that means we have created a group of variables which are clubbed together, and this entire group of variables is referred to by a single name. So whenever we refer to a group of variables by a single name, we say it's an array. Arrays are used in problem solving process. A programmer who has many values of data of same kind, like many ages, many temperatures, say I want to record the age of all the students who are attending the session today. So out of 15, 10 have attended. So I want to have age of all the 10 students today. I would like to know all of you, assuming that you all are coming from 10 different cities. So I'd like to store the temperature of all the 10 cities. I would like to store names of every student who is there in the class. Now all these are similar kind of values, like all names, all temperatures, all ages. They are all values of same type. So whenever you come across a situation where we have several values, they are all of same type. In that case, we'll ask the program to create a group of variables, and this entire group of variables can be given a single name. We can store them in computer in a form such an array, which makes it easier to read and use. How does it reduce the size of the code? I'll discuss. But this is how you can visualize an array. Array is a homogeneous collection. What do you mean by homogeneous? Look at the first picture. I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It could have been 0, 10, 20, 19, and 3. Value can be anything. But note, all of them are integers. Whereas over here, I said 0, A, B, 5, true. This is not allowed. Arrays are not heterogeneous collection. So this is something which is wrong. Heterogeneous and homogeneous. This is something which is wrong. This is something which is wrong. ये गलत क्यों है? Because you are now storing different types of values in this variable. While this is integer, these two are string, again an integer and a Boolean value. The array is not a collection of heterogeneous kind of elements. Array is a collection of homogeneous kind of elements. Now, when I use the word homogeneous, I mean, look at this now. Here we have an integer. Here also we have 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 integer. It's homogeneous collection of elements. That means all elements which are clubbed together inside the array, all are of same type. So when we have group of variables and all variables are of same type, we call it as an array. So array is group of variables which are all of same type. The programmer tells the computer how many memory locations to save for an array through special instructions or within definition of the data. So when I say array is group of variables, how many variables are grouped together? Are there 4 variables? Are there 10 variables? Are there 6 variables? How many variables have been clubbed together inside this? We have to specify while we are defining this array. So programmer tells the computer how many memory locations to save for an array through special instructions or within the definition of the data type. So there are special instructions which I'll tell you when to use, or while you are using this data type, that time itself we will specify how many variables are to be clubbed together. In many language, this is called as dimensioning the variables. That means you will specify the dimensions, how many variables are clubbed together inside this particular array. And to do that, I say array name and the dimension. So if I have to create such an array in which there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements, I'll say array of 5. So it's a group of 5 variables and so on, all of which are stored in contiguous memory location. But then there are two different types of arrays. One is a concept called as static arrays. Another is a concept called as dynamic array. What do you mean by static array? This means that once the computer is told how many locations to save, when you say I would like to have a group of 5 variables, nothing can change. So once it creates a group of 5 variables, for the lifetime of the program, that group will contain only 5 variables. Neither can you add any more variable in that group, neither can we remove any element from that group. So think about array as group of variables, which are all referred to by a single name. And when I have a static array, once we define that group, there is no way later we can increase the size of the array or to decrease the size of the array. That's not possible. That's static array. Please note, it's of fixed size. The number in the instruction is constant. Some language allow the number to be named constant, which one set and only once. That means it's only once we can specify the size of the array. That's a static array. The other kind of array that we come across is dynamic array. Here, you can increase the size of the array or reduce the size of the array. So this is the opportunity that you have in some languages, not all, but some languages. Say I thought of storing 10 values. So I create an array of size 10. And then I realized, oh, I need 5 more. Or you can extend the size. Or you can also reduce the size. Both the things are possible. You can resize this array. So if you're thinking about creating a resizable array, whose size can be increased or whose can be reduced. So it can be expanded or contracted. You can increase the number of variables in that group, or you can reduce the number of variables in that group. So in that case, we're going for a concept called as dynamic array. They are more flexible and use less memory space than static array, but usually more time consuming during processing. Because the way it is managed in the memory is something totally different. So it may take more time during processing. So what is an array? It is a series of variables in the computer memory. So this is the first variable. All variables share the same name. That means the entire group of 5 variables will be referred to by a single name. Each variable has a different subscript, means the first variable has an index called as 0, second has an index called as 1, third has index called as 2, fourth has index called as 3, fifth has index called as 4. And this happens in most of the languages. So if I have to access the first variable in the group and the array name is suppose A, I'll say A of 0. A of 0 will give me an opportunity to access the first element in this group, that is this variable, A of 0. If I say A of 1, it will allow me to access this variable. A of 2, third variable. A of 3, fourth variable. A of 4, fifth variable, and so on. So note, indexing, numbering of the variables starts with 0. And that is the case most of the time. So the first element in the array in most of the languages will have index 0. Second will have index 1. So last element in the array always has index 1 less than the size of the array. So if I create a group of 5 variables, the index of the last element in the array will be 4. And this will happen in most of the languages. So concept of subscript. It is a position number of the item in the array. So if you look at this example, this is item number 1, uska position kya hai 0. Item number 2, position kya hai 1. Item number 3, position kya hai 3. Item number 5, position kya hai to 4. Subscripts are always sequence of integers. So watch it, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, they're always integers. Individual elements have unique subscript. That means every element will have a unique subscript. So my array is an array if I have created, that's an array name. If I say my array of 0, so whatever is the value at the 0th position, it will give me A. Likewise, if I say my array of 1, it will give me B. If I say my array of 2, it will give me C. My array of 3 will give me D. And my array of 4 will give me E. A, B, C, D, E is what we have stored. Now, how do I access elements in the array? Each memory location is called as an element. So I'll call first element, second element, third element, fourth element, fifth element inside this array. And the corresponding to the position of the location is called as an element and is given a number or numbers corresponding to position in the location array. So look at this. The first element has been given position as 0. Second has been given position as 1. That's subscript. This number is a reference number related to the location of the first value of the array. The name of the element has two parts, variable name and the index number, that is a subscript using which you can access the elements. Each element item has the same name and same data type. Element is an item in array. Array elements are contiguous in the memory. They are stored in continuous memory location. There are no gaps in between. And size of the array is total number of elements that the array will hold. Subscript places the parentheses placed in parentheses or brackets following the group name, and syntax will change from language to language. Because the computers are zero based for counting purpose, many programming language arrays are also zero based. That does not mean in all languages the first element will have index as 0. Some languages first element will have index as 1 as well. But in most of languages you will find the first element in the array will be referred to by index number 0. This means the first element in the array is number 0 and not 1. That's zero based system. That means look at this. The first element is A. To access A, I'm going to say my array of 0. So I'm going to access the element using the index. Index is nothing but the position of the array element inside that array. So this is the first position. A is at the first position, B is at the second position, C is at the third position, D is at the fourth position, E is at the fifth position. So I have an array of size 5. But to access the fifth element, I'll say my array of 4. And to access the first element, I'll say my array of 0. So if I normally create some variables, say a number, that will get created somewhere in the memory. But if I create an array, so array called as some value and of size 3, so all the 3 variables will be stored in contiguous memory location. Assume these blocks are like the memory blocks. So they are stored in contiguous memory location. When I say some value of 0, it will give me the first element. Some value of 1 will give me the second element. Some value of 2 will give me the third element and so on. So the 0, 1, 2 were nothing but index of these elements in the array. 25 is the 0th place, 36 is the first place, and 47 at the second place, 0, 1, 2. So actually is the third place, index is 2, but that's how we can use arrays. But the big question is, why do we use arrays? Suppose we have a list of 10 input values that is to be read in 10 consecutive storage locations. Would you assign name to each one of those locations? Suppose let's talk about a simple program. If I tell you accept 10 integers and display the same, and 10 number accept karna hai, and after you finish accepting all the 10 numbers, if I ask you to display those 10 numbers. Question is very simple and straightforward. I'm telling accept 10 numbers and display those 10 numbers. Simple, straightforward question is what is that we have. Now, even if you have such a simple, straightforward question, accept 10 integers and display the same. Now, to accept 10 integers, I'll have to write statements. Correct? And I'll have to write statement like accept the first number, accepted, accept the second number, accepted, accept the third number, and then we'll have to go ahead accepting. Now that could be really very, very time consuming. Okay, why would it be so? Let's try and write a pseudocode for it. Say let's talk about 5 integers, and I have been asked to accept 5 integers and display the same. So let's do it. Suppose here we start. And I hope you can see my screen. So I say start. And then I define. So if I have to accept 5 integers and display those values, I'll require 5 variables. So I say integer, maybe num1, and then likewise I'll have integer num2 and so on. So while this is integer num1, likewise I'll have integer num2, num3, num4, and num5. And I have to give each of these variable a different name: num2, num3, num4, and num5. So I've created a group of 5 variables. And then I have to accept values for each of these variables. Suppose, simple question. Just accept karna aur baad mein aapko display karna hai. But first I have to accept all the values and then later I have to display the values. Suppose. Okay. Or let's say I accept 10 integers and display them in the reverse order in which they have been accepted. यानी जो last वाला accept किया वो सबसे पहले display करना है. That means num5 का value अगर मैं बाद में accept करता तो वो सबसे पहले display करना है. So what I'll do is I'll write a statement. Display. Please enter an integer and then accept probably num1. So we accept this. Now I'll have to ask this question 5 times and tell me if you have any other idea. So ये पहला number accept कर लिया, then दूसरा number accept कर लिया, फिर तीसरा number accept कर लिया, फिर चौथा number accept कर लिया, फिर पांचवा नंबर एक्सेप्ट कर लिया 1 2 3 4 5 I accepted 5 numbers. Now after I have finished accepting 5 numbers 1 2 3 4 5 I have to display them in the reverse order. So first I'll display num5, then num4, then num3, then num2 and num1. So I'll say display स्पेस चाहिए बीच में ऐसे डिस्प्ले here itself I could have said that num5 comma num4 comma num3 comma num2 comma num1 and then we could stop. So that's how we could write a program to display 5 integers and to display them in the reverse order. यानी पहला नंबर पहला जो एक्सेप्ट किया वो सबसे आखिरी में डिस्प्ले किया. So we have done that, we have achieved it. But look at the number of instructions that we have written. There are so many instructions that we are interacting. But suppose instead of 5, if I said 50 integers, so would you actually spend your time writing 50 variables and then 100 statements to accept 50 variables? 100 statement क्यों? एक display और एक accept for one variable. So I'll write 100 different statements to accept those variables and then either write in one line or multiple lines to display it. So just accepting and displaying 100 variables could itself will be a tremendous task for you. Tomorrow it can be 1,000 values that you have to accept. So I'm going to write 200 such statements to accept the values. That could be quite tedious. To overcome such difficulties, we go in for concept of arrays. But anybody has any other idea other than arrays to handle this issue? Anything that comes to your mind? Sir, ये use कर रहे तो ये problem solve हो जाएगा. Anybody?
लूप यूज कर सकते हैं.
Louder?
लूप यूज कर सकते हैं ना.
बताइए कैसे यूज करेंगे. चलो let's do that. Okay, good thought. कैसे यूज करो बताइए. क्या करूं? नागेश जी.
For loop यूज.
Okay, I'll write a for loop. I'll say I'll first define a counter. And then I say suppose ठीक है आपका फॉर लूप रेडी 1 to 5 वाला. वो स्टेटमेंट क्या लिखो भागी से.
Please enter an integer.
Okay, so I write this statement. Display enter integer. Okay. और एक्सेप्ट क्या करूं.
हमें एक वेरिएबल नम सिर्फ नम कर डिक्लेयर करना होगा.
Okay.
एक्सेप्ट.
बट आपने मेरा क्वेश्चन सही पढ़ा है क्या. एक्सेप्ट 5 integers and display them in the reverse order. यानी जो आखिरी नंबर एक्सेप्ट करोगे वो पहले डिस्प्ले करना है. I know what you are thinking about right now. You are thinking कि मैं एक्सेप्ट करके तुरंत प्रिंट करूंगी.
रिवर्स.
So you will define one variable called as num and you will immediately accept num and you're going to display num immediately. Is this what you're thinking?
Yes sir.
तो इससे क्या होगा. जो पहला नंबर मैं एंटर करूंगा वही सबसे पहले प्रिंट होगा. Was that the question?
रिवर्स में करना.
रिवर्स
जो
रिवर्स
last-
मतलब जो लास्ट
जो
एंटर
last
किया वो
है.
सबसे पहले एंटर डिस्प्ले हो जाए और जो सबसे पहले एंटर किया वो लास्ट हो जाए. Will this solve your problem?
No sir.
No. So the only way out was to go ahead with this kind of scenario. And this could be quite tedious. चलो आप 5 इंटीजर के लिए लिख भी दोगे. You may write it for 5 integers. But if you change to 500, it could be pain to write 100 statements to just accept 500 values, correct? and 5,000 रहेगा तो your program size will now grow to such an extent that it will be difficult for you to manage. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Rohit has a suggestion. He says, once you told that vector can be used. Vector is a data structure again, which is supported by some languages and may not be supported by some language. If you're in C language, you don't have anything as vector. If you're in linked list, you don't have anything as vector. Okay. And vector is that dynamic array that we have been talking about. Some languages may provide you, some languages may not provide you. Okay. So now we need to address to this particular problem. So let's see how can we address this particular problem and accept the data. So in this case comes in this concept of arrays. So let me start off with a new whiteboard for arrays, because we are going to solve several examples of arrays. And so we better have a new board, because we are done with loops, enough of examples. And till the time the whiteboard starts, I could also, the last integer is, the fifth integer is, I could just say the fifth integer is num5. And then I could say the fourth integer is the fourth integer is num4. And then the third integer is num3. Then the second integer is num2. And the first integer is num1. So just to accept and display 5 integers, we have 15 statements. 10 statement, 5 statement, 10 statement to accept, and 5 statement to display. That means 15 statement to accept 5 values. So 150 statements to accept 50 values. And 300 statement to accept and display 100 values. So that's too much. Think about, the program has become so big only for 5 variables. Had I gone on to create 50 variables, 50 values if I had to accept, 500 values that I had to accept. So first 500 lines to create 500 variables, another 1000 lines to accept the data, another 500 lines to display the data. Now that could be quite tedious, and we would like to address to this particular issue. So let's start with a new board, and I'll call these boards as arrays, and we'll take some examples over here. So this is array introduction. And the first problem statement, I'll write the problem statement and the solution so that we understand the difficulty that is being posed over here. So this is our solution, but not the best way to go about. Not the best way to go about, although it is correct, it's 100% right. But correctness is not the only criteria, isn't it? We also want it to be maintainable, easy to read, understand. ये develop करते समय करते करते परेशान हो जाएगा आप. So let's write the problem statement. Accept 5 integers इसको in the reverse order of what they are accepted. यानी जो accept किए उसके reverse order में उसको display करना है. आपको उसको ascending descending order में नहीं करना है. सिर्फ जो नंबर accept किए उनको reverse order में display करना है. Order has to change. That means the last number first and the first number last is what was the question. This is one way you could have solved it. But the same problem could have been solved provided you know concept of array, we could have done it much better. You could have done a much better job. Okay, this particular solution that we have come up with, and now we're going to come with one more technique to solve this particular problem. So let's use the concept of arrays now to solve this problem. Good that we had given a name and saved this. क्या हो रहा है? I am not, I should not touch it. शायद उसकी वजह से कुछ प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है. ओह, यहाँ नीचे कोड क्या आ गया दोबारा? Let's keep it here. कुछ जादू हो रहा है. अब ठीक है. I will not touch that. The moment I'm trying to indent that variable correctly, it is generating some problem. So let that number one be where it is. Let it be where it is. We'll copy this. I'll change the color. And now see how we use concept of arrays. Here we go. So instead of defining all these variables, we are going to define a single variable, and that's going to be our array. So how do I define an array? I'll create a group of 5 variables. Okay, so I have one variable called as looks like board has some issue today. I'll delete this and I define a okay. Let's not do in the board there. Let's do it over here also. So is this okay? Everybody visible? Sabko dikhai de raha hai? Okay, I'll do it. So now
Yes.
there's an alternative and much better way. How do we do that? I'll say start, and then I say define. I'm going to define, and I define some variables. Since I want to access 5 integers, so I create a variable integer. I want to have group of 5 variables, so I call it as array maybe, and I'll give the size over here. So one way is like I could say 5 over here. Another way is like I can define a constant. I say constant integer number of elements is equal to 5. And here, instead of using this 5, what is this? Array of these my number of elements. So I've created a group of variables. So when I say int array number of elements, that means I have now created a group of 5 integers. I have now created a group of 5 integers. एक बार देखते whiteboard because I could draw pictures over there. Something is very wrong, looks like. आज कुछ तो issue है, let's not go through. So I said constant integer, number of elements. I have number of elements as 5. I say integer, array number of number of elements. So I'm now saying I would like to have a group of these many number of variables of type integer, and I'm going to give them a name as array. I could give any other meaningful name. I'm going to give them a name as array. Now I would like to access them. So I could just say integer counter. So I define one variable called as counter. Now see how beautiful this code will be. Now we have to accept 5 values. So number of elements are 5. So I say for, right, for counter in the range of 1 to number of elements. Step 1. So the number of elements is 5. The counter will move from 1 to 5. If number of elements is 10, counter will move from 1 to 10. And every time what will I do? I'll ask the user. So I'm asking the user, please enter integer number counter. So counter value for the first time, I'll say, please enter integer number 1. Agli baar I'll say, please enter integer number 2. And so on. I will accept the data. But remember, the index started with 0. So in that case, instead of starting with 1, I'll have to start with 0. And here number of elements hai. So I cannot have number of elements as 5 because we saw in the picture, agar 5 elements ka group hai, so if you look at the indexes were like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here I'm going to start the counter in the range of 0 to number of elements plus 1. So it will say over here, please enter integer number 0. And the world doesn't count with 0. Programs may be counting with 0. Agar aap user ko kahoge, mujhe 0th integer dijiyega. So he will be confused. He should know 1. So here, for the purpose of understanding, I'll say counter plus 1. Just for display purpose, counter a plus 5 will not change the value of a. Answer will be incremented, but the value of a will not change. So counter value jab 0 rahega, so I'll say please enter integer number 0 plus 1, that is 1. Counter value jab 1 rahega, so I'll say please enter the integer counter plus 1. Counter value 0 hai, so 1 hai, 1 plus 1 is 2. And here I'll accept array of counter. So 0 is the array of counter मैंने accept कर लिया. Now I say end for.
Sir.
Yes, please.
Number of elements minus 1 करना पड़ेगा.
Very correct. Number of elements minus 1 करना होगा. That's also very right. Because we don't have 5 elements. We only have indexes. We have 5 elements, but indexes are going to vary from 0 to this. So I'll say for count in the range of 0 to number of elements minus 1. Number of 5 hai, so 5 minus 1 is 4. Because we saw in this particular picture, the highest index, upper bound is 4, lower bound is 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 ही चलना चाहिए. So here we say for count in the range of 0 to number of elements minus 1. So 5 है तो 5 minus 1 4, यानी 0 to 4 चलेगा. Please enter integer number counter plus 1. When it is 0, I'm going to print it as 1. And then I'm accept the value. Now once I have accepted the value, it's time for us to display the result. Now for displaying the result again, we will have to go ahead.
Sir.
Yes, please.
Whenever we give the input, so it will be taken as a number or its index of array.
Now when I'm saying array of counter, so I'm saying accept that particular value. Just say when I say accept num, so in that case, what do we do? Whatever value that user enters, we store into num. So in that
Yes.
case, when I say accept array of counter and I have said accept over here, that means at this position inside the array, store the value. If I say display of counter, array of counter, it will display the value. So now whether you are trying to read or whether you like to assign, that's for you to decide. Here I'm saying accept. So since I'm saying accept, तो array of counter वैल्यू अगर 0 है तो ये 0th पोजीशन पे वैल्यू एक्सेप्ट होगा, काउंटर वैल्यू 1 है तो 1 पोजीशन पे वैल्यू एक्सेप्ट होगा. Since I am saying accept, is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Now I would like to display them in the reverse order, correct? So before even I go ahead displaying this, let's see how it has been stored. Let's visualize it. Let's visualize. So what we have is an array, and we have array of 5 integers. What we have is an array of 5 integers. Since we have an array of 5 integers, so समझो ये आपका पहला वेरिएबल है. Then you have the second variable. Then we have the second variable. Next, we have the third variable. It's a group of 5 variables, correct? It's a group of 5 variables. So we're going to have a group of 5 variables. Here we have 3. Here we have 4. Or here we have 5. So these are a group of 5 variables. The first variable in this group has index number as 0. पहले वेरिएबल का इंडेक्स क्या है तो 0 है. सेकंड का इंडेक्स क्या है तो 1 है, ये 1 है. थर्ड का इंडेक्स क्या है तो 2 है. फोर्थ का इंडेक्स क्या है तो 3 है. एंड फिफ्थ का इंडेक्स क्या है तो 4 है. तो ऐसे 0 1 2 3 4 उसका इंडेक्स है. ये array. And this entire group of 5 variables has been given a single name. And the only single name with which we are going to refer to this entire group of variables is a name called as array. You could have thought of some other name also. मैंने इस पूरे ग्रुप को एक ही नाम दिया है called as array. पूरे ग्रुप को, the entire group is being referred to by this particular single name. पूरा group is referred by this single name. To understand this, when I am saying array, I mean from here till here. This entire group is referred to by a single name called as array. Entire group. Now, when we are in the program and when we say, please enter for the first time counter value 0. So 0 in the range of 0 to 4, a number value is 5 to 4, yes. We say, please enter the number counter plus 1. Counter value 0 is 0 plus 1 is 1. So for display purpose, we are saying, please enter integer number 1. But here I am saying, accept array of counter value 0, array of 0 is this element. The user enters, suppose user enters value like 12. Suppose user enters value like 12. So number 12 will get stored over here. Number 12 will get stored over here. Number 12 will get stored over here. Array of counter. Then counter increments. Counter now becomes 1. Counter now becomes 1. Is 1 in the range of 0 to 4? Yes. So we again say, please enter integer counter plus 1. Counter value 1 hai, 0 hai, 1 hai. 1 plus 1 is 2. So we'll say, please enter integer number 2. But counter value 1 hai, array of counter, the one position pe will accept the next value. We'll accept the next value at this particular position. Where will accept the next value. Say user enters next number as 10. So हमने 10 accept कर लिया. We have accepted value 10. Over here we have accepted value 10. We have accepted value 10. Let me just increase and keep it so I can just adjust the space and fill the value. We accepted 10. Next time round, counter now becomes 2. So we say, is 2 in the range of 0 to 4? Yes. Please enter integer number 3. 3 करेंगे, an array of 2. So when I say array of 2, I come inside 0, 1, 2. 2 मतलब मेरा third element, and user gives the third element as 71. So we accepted 71 at the third position. That's subscript number 2. Counter value now becomes 3. Is 3 in the range of 0 to 4? Yes. We say, please enter integer number 4. Counter value 3, but message आएगा, please enter integer number 4. Now that we have accepted the 4, and then we'll say accept array of 4. So when I say accept array of 4, so I'm going to accept the fourth value. Probably suppose it is 20 is what I have accepted. And then step 1. Now, the moment I say step 1, counter now becomes 4. Is 4 in the range of 0 to 4? Condition is true. We say, please enter integer number 5. Okay, message 5, but array of counter value 4 here. So we are now going to accept the next value. array of 4. Suppose user accepts the next number and that is 33. So that value has been accepted and it has been stored. ये store हो गया. Now we have finished storing. Counter now becomes 5. Is 5 in the range of 0 to 4? Condition is false. We come out. Now once we come out, we again say please enter the integers in the reverse order are as follows. So we'll again take a for loop and we'll proceed further. So I'll say for counter, watch it in the range of, I'll now say number of elements -1 यानी 4 से शुरू करेंगे और 0 तक जाएंगे. Number of elements -1 to 0. And I'm going to say step -1 and end for. And here I'll write a statement display the integer number counter +1. काउंटर वैल्यू जब 4 है तो मैं कहूंगा 5. काउंटर नंबर is array of counter. So I'm saying for counter in the range of number of elements -1. Number of elements कितने आपके पास 5 है. So 5 - 1 is 4. So first value of counter will now be 4. So for 4 in the range of 4 to 0. 4 is in the range of 4 to 0. Step -1 का है. That means after every pass, value of counter is going to get decremented by 1. So I'll say display the integer number counter +1. Counter value 4 है. I'll say 4 + 1 that is 5. So I'm going to say integer number 5 is array of counter. अभी डिस्प्ले में यूज करो. थोड़ी देर पहले रोहित ने क्वेश्चन किया था यहाँ क्या होगा. यहाँ एक्सेप्ट करो तो वहां के वैल्यू वहां जाके वैल्यू स्टोर होगा. Now when I use the same statement and array of counter in display, it will display fetch the value at that location. Array of 4. Array of 4 में क्या है यहाँ 3 है. You will get this number 3. Okay, ये array of 4. Array of 4 में क्या है 33 है. The first time print 33 हो गया. Step -1 counter value now become 3. Is 3 in the range of 4 to 0? Yes. So the integer number 4 is array of 3. Array of 3 में क्या है यहाँ 20 है. Will print 20. Next 71, then 10, and then 12, and then counter become -1. Is -1 in the range of 0, 4 to 0? Conditions false. Will come out and will stop. Will stop. So that's how it has reduced the size of the code. Now think about a scenario here. There were no 5 variables, but 10. So in that case, I had to first define 10 variables, then 20 statement to accept them, and 10 statement to print it. That means 35 lines of code I'll write. यहाँ क्या change होगा? ये अगर 500 भी आते हैं ना, I'll only make one change. ये 500 खत्म. Now it will accept 500 integers and display 500 integers. कैसे? Now it will first create an array of 500 integers. Then for counter in the range of 0 to 500 - 1, that is 499. Same loop will run. And then while displaying for counter in the range of 499 to 0, same loop will run. You don't have to add even a single line if it changes, number of variable changes from 5 to 500 or 5000. Here, you cannot even imagine if it becomes 500 lines to display variable, create variables, 1000 line to accept the values, another 500 line to display. So it will be actually 500 plus 1000 plus 500, 2000 lines of code will have to write. And here, no change in the size, only one change over here, and your problem will be taken care of. Understood, everybody? Just give me a second, let me close the window. Hope this. There are some crazy people around. There's substantial reduction in noise. So there is a marriage in my neighborhood. So 2 दिन तो अगले 2 दिन तो there will be a lot of noise. Okay. Any questions anybody? Have you all understood this? किसी को कोई question है क्या?
Sir, what if I just wanted to display one element of array? Then what should I do?
You want to display only?
One element of the array. Like I want to only display 71 number.
Okay,
from
then you
the
can just say
code.
display A of 2, array of 2. So you could just say display array of 2. That's enough. That display 71. You could say the third number is anything. The value is whatever you like to say, an array of 2. Just one element. Don't put it inside the group. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Wait, does
But
that answer your
what
question?
if I don't? But what if I
Huh.
don't know where is 71 number stored?
No, then there is an algorithm that you have to learn. That we are going to learn. If you don't know where R71 is, so you'll have to search and then you'll have to display. So I'll be teaching you searching algorithm, and that for that purpose we have to learn something called as linear search, and that will be our topic for discussion now. अपने इसमें आएगा, इसी टॉपिक में हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे. Here, I'm just sharing this particular code with you all. File also I'll share, but that file will not have the image otherwise. Na? वो जो array का हमने picture draw किया है. Have you all received this file? Yes or
sir.
no? Okay.
Yes.
I'll share the text as well. Text file भी share करता हूँ. I'll call it as array1. Array1. I'll share that file also for your quick reference. Okay. Now I'm going to give you a slight variation on this problem, and I want you to come with a pseudocode for it. Meanwhile, I'll restart my machine. I'll make somebody amongst you host. I'll restart so that hopefully that problem that we are facing with the whiteboard that is taken care of. I don't know why it is troubling. So first note down the question. Okay, have a look at the solution as well, and then you can make an attempt to solve them. I'll put you into various groups as well. But note down the question. Accept. Accept 10 integers. Accept 10 integers. Accept 10 integers. Oh, let me think about an example for arrays. Suppose the other problem could have the problem that I had in my mind could be solved without using array. Let's talk about scenario where arrays will be necessary. Or let's take examples wherein we could have solved the problem without using arrays as well. ऐसा भी कर सकते हैं. Okay. So let's take an example. Forget an array. Solve it the way you want to. Okay. Right on. And you. Okay. और जरूरी नहीं कि array use करें. Let's do some exercise and then we'll come back to array. Then we'll come back to array. Accept name and department numbers. Accept name and department number of 10 employees, of 100 employees. 100 company body है. Accept name and department number of 100 employees. Accept name and department number of 100 employees. Accept name and department number of 100 employees. And display. And display. And display. Total number of employees. And display total number of employees in each department. total number of employees in each department. Display total number of employees in each department. Okay, so आपके पास 100 employees हैं, तो for every of each of that employee उसका नाम पूछोगे और उसका department number पूछोगे, and then at the end you're going to tell me how many employees belong to each department. Okay, how many employees belong to each department? Given there are only 5 departments in the company. There are only 5 departments in the company. Namely, department number 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. यही 5 departments है. Department number 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. We have just these 5 departments. और कोई department number नहीं है हमारी company. These are the only 5 departments. Department number 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. These are the only 5 departments that we have in our company. Everybody understood the problem? Okay. So solve this particular problem. And you may not use arrays. पहले ये solve करते हैं, and then later I'll give an example of array when my machine restarts. Okay. Meanwhile, I'll put you all into groups. So we are 12 of us. So I'll just break you all into different groups. So you'll be falling into 3 groups. Just give me a second. Okay, so groups are created. And so you can get it as go to a group and start solving. Join the groups, please. Shweta, join the group. Shweta and Aditya, join the group. Aditya,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
group
I'm
join
ready.
करो. पहले join करो ना Aditya. Come on, all the teams who have submitted, please share the solution. Those are solved, please share the solution. So I got 1 file, I got 2 files. So one from team 1, other from team 2, team 3 की फाइल कहाँ है? Team 2, there is nothing as elif. We had to say else if. We should have said else if. So we had not seen anything as elif. Some languages support elif, but not here. So department string, name of the employee, okay, integer, number of constant, okay, integer, department counter 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, counter, and then 1, 2, number of employees, step 1, display play, enter name, enter the department number. 10 है तो आपने ये इंक्रीमेंट कर लिया, 20 है गलत, ये आपके ऐसे वेरिएबल ही नहीं है. डिपार्टमेंट काउंटर 10, डू यू हैव सच वेरिएबल?
Yes, sir. Declare केलं ना रे. Department counter underscore 10 declare करो.
इधर डिजिट 10 है, इधर वर्ड मध्ये 10 लिहिलं आहे.
हाँ.
If I call you Sanjay sometimes and if I call only S sometimes, I call you Jay sometimes, will that do? Variable name should be consistent. ऊपर क्या लिखा आपने? डिपार्टमेंट काउंटर 10 और यहाँ क्या लिखा? डिपार्टमेंट काउंटर TN है क्या आपके पास? TN है, मुझे नहीं दिखाई दे रहा,
नहीं
नहीं है. Okay, otherwise it's almost near to what we expected. Let's see the other one. This was Sanjay, आपकी टीम कौन सी थी?
team 3
Team 3. Let's have a look at team 1. This is string employee name. Yeah, what's the spelling of employee? M-P-L-O-Y or P-O-L-Y? M polyname. M polyname. Okay. Okay, anyway, department total number of employees and variables. Okay, numeric, integer, both will do. Integer would have been better. One to step, enter the name of the employee. Okay. Enter the department name and then if array ऐसा नहीं यार, ऐसे nested if else use कर. Every if is in nested inside another. This is how you should have represented. There is actually troublesome using nested if. There is nothing else if that we haven't yet seen. जो use सीखा है वही use करेंगे. And then else. और else का कोड नीचे. Else वापस department equal to 50. अरे if it is not 10, not 20, not 30, not 50, then it could be 50. And अगर आपको else use करना है तो यहाँ if डालो. If department number equal to 50, then do this. और else में लिखो incorrect department number. किसी ने नंबर डिपार्टमेंट नंबर 500 दे दिया, हमारे पास वैसा कोई डिपार्टमेंट नंबर है ही नहीं. एंड कितने if else है आपके पास? If है 1 2 3 4 5. So there has to be every if should have an end if. ये पहले वाले का हो गया, ये end if दूसरे वाले का हो गया, ये end if ये तीसरे वाले का हो गया. Didn't we see that nested ifs? And then this fourth and the fifth one, ये fourth हो गया और एक चाहिए end if. So there are a lot of corrections that we have to do in your code. And then end for and so here. तो ये डिस्प्ले कहाँ आगे जा पीछे जा रहा है, ये चाहिए and then stop. Actually this should have been indented, not indented to this extent. ये variables define किया, that's okay. But after I define these variables, ऐसे चाहिए. So start define for all in one line. These were just variables that we are defined. And then for loop के अंदर we are first asking the user to enter the name of the employee counter. Then we accept the name of the employee and the department number. Then we are checking department number is 10. Then calculate department number 10 is equal to 10 plus 1. If department is 20, then we add 20. Else is end if. And this is how we should have done. So ये एक solution है. I'll save this as array 2. Array 2. Let's see what is the other team solution. रोहित आपकी टीम कौन सी थी? अरे तो हुआ ही नहीं सॉल्यूशन, क्या है रोहित?
सर करने वाले थे तब तक रूम एंड हो गए.
कहाँ करने वाले, कितने हाफ एन आवर यूट्यूब एंड देयर इज नथिंग एज एल्स इफ. हमने कब देखा है एल्स इफ? ELIF कब देखा है ये लॉजिक में? नेवर. What are you writing? Department number 10, elif department number what? No, this was not right. This was the proper one. Okay, with that small changes that I have done. Andy भूल गए थे. Have you all understood this?
Yes.
Anybody has a question? Logic क्या है देखो. You have an 100 employees. So you create a variable called as total employees. For employee counter in the range of 1 to total number of employees, this for loop will run 100 times. Every time we'll ask user to enter the, hey, और एक team बाकी है ना? श्वेता, आपकी टीम का कौन सा कोड है?
जो मैंने किया है वही है,
अच्छा, वही है.
उदय और मैं।
Okay, okay. Shweta and you are in the same team. So there is nothing as ELIF. याद रखो.
Yes.
ELIF may be present in some languages. And हमने nested if देखा है. How to represent. हमने solve किए वो problems. तो अगर nested if तो इस तरीके से represent करना चाहिए. And then we are displaying the number, the no of employee. What is no of employee? Yes, team one. What is no of employees in department tennis? The count, the number चाहिए. No क्या है? कौन सी बात है? No. There is nothing as no. आपके लिए no मतलब नंबर रहेगा, किसी के लिए no मतलब कुछ और रहेगा. Okay. So total employees 100. Those who are not aware, so this for loop will run from 1 to 100. 100 times run करेगा. Enter the name of the employee. Sorry. Enter the name of the employee which you are not number 1. You will accept the employee number. And department number, enter the department of the employee. You accept the department number, name, number, and then you're checking department number equal 10 hai. So ये calculate करें. Once you calculate this, the rest all statements can be skipped, and directly you come to N4 and accept the other one. Nested if use कर रहे हैं. The advantage of nested if is, if any condition is satisfied, statement associated with that if will get executed, and rest all conditions will be skipped. So अगर ये condition false था, they will go and check department number 20 है क्या? If department is 20, then it will calculate saying department 20 is equal to department 20 plus 1 and skip all these conditions and directly go ahead accepting the next employee and so on. So that's a good code that has been written. Understood this everybody? And then we just come out and display the counters. ये last के codes की कोई जरूरत नहीं थी. We are assuming that you get displayed on separate lines. यहाँ space चाहिए था, variable names है ना, तो यहाँ space चाहिए. The total number of employees in department number 10, number of employees in department number 10, department 10 आपकी variable का नाम है. User को कैसे पता चलेगा क्या है? आप यहाँ लिखो department number so and so. Make your output readable. Now the number of employees in department number 10 are so and so, in 20 are so and so, and this nested if. Have you all understood this nested if? Yes or no?
Yes.
Quick feedback, everybody. If you understood, not understood, give me a quick feedback. Rahul, क्या doubt है? श्वेता, उदय, क्या doubt है? Shweta and Uday, you have a query?
No, sir.
Okay. And if you are doing it in this particular fashion, it is a sign of a poor developer. Okay. यानी आपको concept of array समझ में नहीं आया शायद. Now let's solve this particular example. This is it is a correct solution, but a very poor design. देखो मैं क्या करूँ? It's a correct solution, but very, very poor design. Let me improve on this particular code. Okay, this was poor solution, I said. So let's improve on it. Here I go. You have defined these many number of variables. I'm not going to define these variables. Note, I'm not going to define this variable. I'm going to define one array. कितने डिपार्टमेंट्स आपके पास 5 है? And then here I'll say number of departments. Numeric department, number of departments. I create an array of size 5. Okay, just one array. नो 5 वेरिएबल्स. आप जो ये 5 वेरिएबल्स डिफाइन कर रहे हैं, कुछ नहीं. कल 10 डिपार्टमेंट्स हो जाएंगे तो यू विल नाउ बी, इफ देयर आर 10 डिपार्टमेंट्स इन योर कंपनी, यू विल हैव 10 वेरिएबल्स हो हियर एंड यू विल हैव 10 कंडीशंस हो हियर. 5 कंडीशंस में नेस्टिंग करना मुश्किल हो रहा है. 10 कंडीशंस करोगे, इट विल बी लाइक going out of the screen. It will be very difficult for you to manage. Okay, so you want to improve. So I now said department, number of departments. We'll ask user this message for employee counter in the range of 1 to total number of employees. That's also correct. Enter the name of the employee. We are accepted. Enter the department of the employee. We have accepted the department number. And once I do that, I'll not do anything of this sort. ये कितने लाइन का कोड लिखा आपने? 20 lines of code I'll delete. And I'll still get the right answer. ये भी delete. ये भी delete. And then how will you keep a track? I'll just write a statement. Watch it what I'm writing. Calculate स्नेक की यूज करोगे ना तो ये नेक्स्ट कैपिटल करने की जरूरत नहीं है. अंडरस्कोर यूज नहीं करोगे तो कैपिटल करना जरूरी है. जैसे यहाँ लिखा था आपने सही, वैसे ही करना होगा. Now tell me, if I say calculate department number of department number, so for the first time user enters department number of 3. तो ये क्या होगा? Department of 3. But department of 3 is the 4th variable.
Yes.
Yes or no? Counting starts with 0.
Yes.
Yes or no? Diagram देखा था थोड़ी देर पहले.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So if I say department of
Sir.
3 will be this. So in that case, if I say this, which variable are we talking about?
Index, sir, index.
Index we are talking about, correct? Okay. So once we get that, I'll say equal to खत्म. That's it. यही कोड चाहिए. देखो जरा. That's the power of arrays.
Sir.
कल जा हाँ
65 नंबरची लाईन नीट सांगा ना, काहीच
तुम्हीच
कळलं.
समजा, तुम्ही बघा ना. तुम्ही सांगा. विचार करा.
कॅल्क्युलेट डिपार्टमेंट
हा?
म्हणजे डिपार्टमेंट कॅल्क्युलेट करणार.
नाही नाही अरे
अरे त्याच्यामध्ये नंबर ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट्स.
नंबर ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट नाही, डिपार्टमेंट
input
नंबर
of-
आहे. हा डिपार्टमेंट नंबर आहे, युजर कडून ऍक्सेप्ट केलेला.
आपण समजा
चित्र काढा. डिपार्टमेंट नंबर युजरने समजा 5 टाकला. इथं काय आणलं? डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट नंबर -1. काय येईल? 5 - 1 is 4.
5 - 1 4 ला 5 नंबरच असेल.
4 म्हणजे 5th व्हेरिएबल आहे.
हा 5.
ठीक आहे. इज इक्वल टू डिपार्टमेंट नंबर ऑफ -1 + 1 त्यात एक ऍड केला. The only thing is we'll have to set all these variables to value as 0. So आपण एक तर असं करू शकतो, all variables have been set to value as 0, or otherwise we can write a loop to initialize all the variables to value as 0. It's a group of variables. So if it's a group of variables, you can initialize group of variables something like this. पाच आहेत ना, so 5 variables we are set to value as 0. So all the 5 variables inside this array have been set to value 0. If you don't understand this, write a loop and set all variables to value as 0. वो भी चलेगा. Because sometimes if it's 100 departments, it will be tedious for you to write this. So this is one way to do it. And if you don't want to do it, write a for loop and set all the variables department value to 0 like this. I can say for counter in, let's define a counter. Yeah, department number, I can just say. Number in the range of 0 to आपका total number of departments -1. Step 1. ये भी चलेगा. So either you initialize in this fashion, and there are too many, write a loop. Solution for department number in the range of 0 to number of department -1. Department अगर 5 है तो 0 to 4 चलेगा. And calculate department of 0 is equal to 0, department of 1 is equal to 0, department of 2 is equal to 0. I have initialized all the departments to value as 0. और यहाँ क्या लिखा? Calculate department of department number -1. Let's take an example. User enters for the first employee. Department number is 3. तो आप क्या कहोगे? Department of 2. Department of 2 कैसे रहेगा? Third variable. Department of 0, department 1 of and department of 2 is equal to department of 2 plus 1. तो उसमें एक ऐड हो गया. Have you understood this, everybody?
Yes, sir.
So for हाँ
पण आपल्याकडे डिपार्टमेंट 10, 20, 10, 20, 30, 40 असे आहेत ना.
हाँ
तर
असं द्या ना. ओके. डिपार्टमेंट नंबर 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 आहेत. आता
हा.
राहिला फक्त प्रश्न डिस्प्ले करायचा. हा 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 आहेत ना आपल्याकडे. व्हेरी गुड. अगर 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 असे हे प्रॉब्लेम सॉल्व्ह झाला असता.
येस येस
आता आपले डिपार्टमेंट नंबर काय 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 आहे.
येस येस
So user enters department number as 10, correct? User enters department number as
Yeah.
10. So this will become now department of 10 minus 1. Yes or no?
नाही हा येस
है ना?
10-1
Yes.
9 will na? And
9
that will go wrong, correct?
येस
Okay. Watch it. Good. You are watchful, that means. And आप ही सिर्फ सो नहीं रहे, बाकी दोस्त सो गए आपके साथ. क्या होगा बोलो?
आता डिपार्टमेंट 10 ने डिवाइड होईल. 40 टाकलं का?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
ओके. और करते इसमें आसान कर देते. अब क्या होगा बताइए?
Zero, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
0
पहली बार यूजर ने डिपार्टमेंट नंबर 4 दिया, 40 दिया,
40 हाँ
तो क्या होगा? यहाँ क्या आ जाएगा?
4
Or
3 आएगा. कैसे?
40
40 divided by 10. What will you get?
4
4 minus 1?
3
3. तो यार department of 3. Department of 3 is which department?
40
Fourth, है ना?
हाँ 40
तो उसमें एक ऐड कर दो, हो गया काम आपका.
yes
हो गया everyone sir. If it is department 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it was the what we had done earlier. आपका 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 है, so I can do it in this fashion as well.
yes
Now we have to display for employee counter, नहीं for department counter चाहिए था. For अगर किसी ने डिपार्टमेंट नंबर 10 दिया तो here 10 divided by 10 is
1
1 minus 1 is
0 0
तो बराबर 0 पोजीशन पे स्टोर हो जाएगा.
yes
So department number in the range of 0 to number of departments. Step 1. अब डिस्प्ले में से थोड़ा सा केयरफुली कर. The number of employees in department number 10 आर नहीं चलेगा अभी. तो बोलो क्या लिखना होगा यार?
और नंबर ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट्स -1 हो जाएगा.
डिपार्टमेंट नंबर का वैल्यू फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम 0 है, तो यहाँ क्या लिखूं? द नंबर ऑफ एम्प्लॉइज इन डिपार्टमेंट नंबर, डिपार्टमेंट का नंबर 10 चाहिए मुझे, यहाँ क्या लिखे? कम ऑन उदय,
Department number into 10.
तो 0 into 10 कितना होगा?
0.
Sir,
Plus 10.
department number plus
हाँ.
1 is into 10, sir.
करेक्ट, प्लस 1 into 10. इससे प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाएगा. पहली बार 0 है, तो 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 into 10 is 10. तो कहेगा द टोटल नंबर ऑफ एम्प्लॉइज इन डिपार्टमेंट नंबर 10 आर. आगे बोलो क्या लिखूं? क्या लिखो? डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ,
Department number plus 1.
नहीं प्लस वन और कुछ नहीं, डायरेक्टली डिपार्टमेंट नंबर ही चाहिए. बिकॉज बाय डिफॉल्ट ही हमने डिपार्टमेंट नंबर वाज इन द रेंज ऑफ 0 टू नंबर ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट्स दिया था. पहला डिपार्टमेंट नंबर कौन सा है? 0 है ना, तो यहाँ
Sir,
लिखना
yes,
होगा
sir,
-1. ओके, एंड दैट विल सॉल्व योर प्रॉब्लम. और ये हो गया एंड फॉर. अब नोट कीजिएगा, the way you are solving, if number of department changes from 5 to 10, your code size would have increased substantially. अब यहाँ 100 का 1000 भी हो जाए, this is the only change that we'll have to do.
yes, sir.
Number of departments 5 के 50 भी हो जाए समझो, या 5 के 10 भी हो जाए, तो in that case also, even if it's 10 departments, still your logic still works correctly. Assuming that department number were 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. And if it is department number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then ये logic की जरूरत नहीं है आपको. The magic was done over here. Have you all understood this statement? Department of department number is equal to department of department number plus 1. यानी array के अंदर के उस position के element की value 1 से हमने increment कर ली. Have you all understood line number 70? Because the entire story was at line number 70. पूरा story जो था 70 line पे ही है. Line number 70. Have you all understood this? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Other than Kaustubh, बाकी लोगों को, पृथ्वीराज क्या डाउट है?
Could you repeat once again?
No. Just focus on line number 70. क्या कर रहे हैं? Try and understand.
I understood, like it's for assigning the value inside the array because the array starts from 0.
Correct. So for department number 10, so in our array, the first element which is at position number 0 will act as a counter for department number 10.
Could you repeat?
The first element inside the array which is at position number 0,
Yes.
that will act as a counter. So this is nothing but group of counters, 5 counters that I have created, will act as a counter for department number 10. The next variable inside the array which is at department at position number 1 will act as a counter for department number 20. So what am I doing? I'm saying here, so user enters department number as 30. So I'm saying 30 divided by 10, that is 3. 3 minus 1 is 2. Okay. So inside this array, pardon?
Yes, and that 2 is the array's third.
Yeah, 2 is the array index. And that is representing your particular department number. So this was 5 elements inside the array, suppose. If these were 5 elements inside the array, suppose these are 5 elements inside the array. So this was index number 0, this was index number 1, this was index number 2, this was index number 3, this was index number 4. So these are just the index. Correct? The value over here was the counter for dependent number. So this 0 was representing dependent number 10, 1 was representing dependent number 2, 20, 2 was representing dependent number 30, 3 was representing dependent number 40, and this was representing dependent number. And I had initialized all of them to value as 0. मैंने सबको initialize किया था with value as 0, suppose.
You made a array of counters.
I create an array of
Made an-
counters. Yes, I
Yes.
create array of counters. ये 5 को value 0 store किया initially. First time, give me some dependent number that you enter. Any dependent number,
20.
20 दे दो. So I'm going to say 20 divided by 10, that is 2. 2 minus 1, कितना हो गया?
1.
1. And I go here, dependent number of 1. Dependent number of 1 means this element. Dependent number
Yes.
1 is equal to dependent number 1 plus 1. So 0 plus 1 now becomes 1.
Yes.
Agli bar, next dependent is again 20, suppose. So again, dependent number becomes 20 divided by 10 is 1. 1 minus 1 is, so 20 did, yeah? So 20 divided by 10 is 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. So again, I'll say dependent number 1 is equal to 1 plus 1. And that is 2. ये increment हो गया?
Yes. Understood.
Okay. So I've taken this as an array. So using array, we can avoid nested if आपका condition checking वगैरह कुछ नहीं. Think about your solution. You are writing so many conditions. Now no conditions need to be checked. Do you all appreciate how arrays are useful over here now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that can change the way we write the code totally. So instead of taking that many number of counters, कौन उतने counters को track करेगा? फिर उस counters की value condition डाल के check करो. That would be quite a difficult and complex way to write the solution. The arrays will improve the design of your solution substantially, provided you use them at the right places and right way. And that's the reason we have to explore these kind of concepts. Otherwise, सिर्फ group of variables है, अरे वो सबको पता है arrays are group of variables. But if you don't put them to right use, then there is no point in learning concept of array. I just give you a very simple example where arrays play an important role, where they have replaced the entire nested if kind of scenario is what they have replaced. Okay. Now, one assignment for you. Take this question, or I'll put across a snapshot for that question for you. And now you have to take some time out and solve it. So look at the problem. I'm sharing the problem statement with you all.
After the solution, sir.
तेही शेअर करतो. आत्ताचं सोल्युशन शेअर करतो. पहिली असाइनमेंट शेअर करतो. किंवा आत्ताचं सोल्युशन पहिले शेअर करतो. But have you all understood? Because ये एक बार दिमाग में फिट हो जाना चाहिए. Otherwise, I will see people end up using nested if unnecessarily. ये देखो आ गया क्या अभी का solution? Tell me. Have you got the solution?
Yes, sir.
Have you got the problem statement as well?
Yes, sir.
No, but that is half part of the problem statement. The problem statement completes in 2 slides. ये दोनों part आ गए क्या?
Yes.
We should receive 2 slides. Yes. It's like Mr. Ganesh owns an apartment building with 5 floors, including basement. So basement पकड़ के 5 floors है. Tenant file shows the following details of each of the tenant. हर एक फाइल में name of the tenant है, number of floors है, floor number है और उसका apartment का code है. You are required to print rent bill for each tenant. Okay. The rent charges are based on base ED लिखना चाहिए on the floor of the building. Floor number 0 है तो 3,500 रुपए rent है. Floor number 1 है तो ये rent है. Floor number 2 है तो ये rent है. Floor number 3 है तो ये rent है. Floor number 4 है तो ये rent है. Write a program that print each tenant's name and rent due. हर एक tenant का नाम and how much is the rent that he has to pay is what has to be printed. Now the only thing is like here हमने कहा है a tenant file stores the details of each of the tenant. Okay, so I have not told you the concept of file as of now. So you can accept the details of the employee tenant if you want, and then you can proceed further. So name of the tenant, floor number and apartment code, ये तीनों आपको accept करना है और फिर उसका bill calculate करके आपको print करना है. And ये आपके पास कहीं तो जानकारी है. The rent charges are based on the floor of the building. So let's see how do you solve this particular problem statement. Okay, you will have to accept the details of the employee and employee tenant, भाड़े को रूप, and then you have to print how much is the rent that he is supposed to pay. Have you all understood the problem?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And it is, अगर आप ध्यान से देखोगे, it is very similar to what we just now did. But you have to find out, हाँ ये ऐसा हो रहा है. Okay. So that's an exercise for you. Okay. So solve this one particular example and be ready for the next session tomorrow. जिन्होंने आज assignment नहीं करके आए थे, what Kaustubh had solved all those problems. Make sure that you do it because that will increase your confidence as to how to design arrays. So those who did not complete the assignment, take the problem state solutions from Kaustubh and do a dry run for all of them. Only Sanjay did it. So big clap for Sanjay, because he has put in that effort to actually understand what is happening. And others should also do it. And this is an assignment which will re-emphasize how I can use this array to avoid nested ifs. So let's see how many of you can figure out this particular way to do it. So on that note, we'll stop over here today. See you tomorrow. We continue with our discussion on concept of arrays. There is more about arrays. I've just given you a glimpse as to how it can improve the quality of your code. Think about it. If you can solve this one right, then I don't have to take any more similar examples. फिर अलग type के examples लेंगे. Okay. So with that note, we'll stop over here today. See you tomorrow. Take care. Love you all. Bye-bye. If anybody has any question, please ask right now.
Sir, तुम्ही ते
Tell me.
वेगळा क्वेश्चन.
Okay.